Happy Monday, family. Hope y'all ready for the world and ready to get at it. All right. So, so this series, Trusting God Isn't Always Easy. This is part 6, named When It Is Your Season. All right. So again, this is from a weekend that I had like 6 weeks ago. Um, God had just got me through something, and and minutes out, like literally maybe 5 minutes after he got me through it or whatever, you know, I started just assessing my life and things like that, and I just became unhappy because where I was, I feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be, so that caused me to not be content in his will because I became impatient, ready for the harvest to come, and he taught me that the only way to be content in his will is to be grateful what you have and where you are. All right, so that was part one. Part two was us as the children of Israel. As I said, 5 minutes after he got me through something, I started complaining, having this spirit of ungratefulness and, excuse me, and all these different things. And kind of like how they were, I mean, just complaining. Right after God delivered them and got them through, they complained and he still provided. They complained. He still showed his goodness. They complained over and over and over again. So, us as the children of Israel, part three was don't focus on the storm. All right. So, because, excuse me. So it was because I was focusing on the storms. That's why I became um, I entered it into a space, a mental space, a spiritual space that I didn't belong. All right, I fully understand what's going on. I've been knowing what's going on even when all this occurred, but it was focusing on the storm. I I shift my perspective and I shift my focus off of Christ, and I just started sinking just like Peter did. Um, because it just started showing lack of faith and believing that he was going to, provide furthermore. And because of that, I drew a line and I just turned to him and, like, in a sense, started blaming him, which was part four. It's a thin line between enemy's line. We draw a line and between us and Christ, and then start pointing our finger at him like he's the enemy, blaming him where it's your fault. I'm in this situation where it's your fault. This happened. It's your fault. Your fault. Your fault. As if he's the enemy, and us being foolish in our thinking and selfish in our being, that we feel like we feel like that he's not there, or just overall, like, he's there for us, he's there with us, just uh taking some hits, taking some blows as he did over 2,000 years ago on our behalf, you know and we need him. So, we make him the enemy, and he like, whoa, I'm here for you. Whoa, like, I you just don't know what the weight that I done caught on my back on your behalf. So, that was part four. Last week, part five was um, it may not be your season, which, I started looking at, my influencers, like, it's crazy because they have these success stories about, their situation and where they came from, and the principles to this and that or whatever, and individuals took those principles and then they message back or write back like, hey man, like, thank you, like, because of your principles, or because of what you share with me, like, my business has gone to the next level, or I started my big business, or my marriage is much better, my finances are much better, my circumstances are better, just whatever. And I'm like, man, that sucks, because I look at my past experience with God, it's like he always keep me from making decisions of my own when it come down to some like making the next move or leaving this job going to the next or doing this or and he just prevent me from that happening, and I'm like, man, that sucks, and that's another reason why I blamed him, like if you just let me go, let me be, let me make my decision on my own and let me do it because it's because of you. Like I'm right here, like what I'm saying, like foolishness, selfishness, and just looking back on all that, I'm so grateful, because I wouldn't be where I am now if he hadn't stepped in. Like, hold on, I got something better for you, So I was looking at that, like that's when it hit me shortly after I started thinking that's like, maybe it's just not my season, So that's what it was, and all in that thinking, about my influences, like looking at all these successful people. That's why it's very important not to compare or look at everybody else's situation and look at yours, because I started looking at other individuals, like some of my influences, like feel like that they not giving God the credit, although first of all it's not my business, second of all, like considering I've been following them for a while, they have done every bit of that. They always give God the glory, but it's like it just were the negative space that I was in. I'm like, like a lot of people out there that are successful and they don't even give you the glory. They don't even, like acknowledge you or whatever, So I just started thinking about all this or whatever, and right after that, he like, right now isn't your season, but when it is your season. All right. So that's this part six. Part six. Yeah. Part six. When it is your season, make sure no matter what, I don't care how good you feel you are. I don't care how on point, how tactical, strategic, however you feel like you are. Like always give God the credit, because a lot of times we feel like, well, I'm self-made, or if it weren't for me, like I did this on my own. Like God always like provide for us. He always touch on individuals on our behalf to give us that opportunity. All right. So or just whatever. Just make sure just make sure when it's your season, make sure you give God the glory. Make sure you honor him even now. Make sure you praise him even now in your storm. Make sure that you give him you and let him know that, Lord, it's not always easy, but I'm going to trust you. I hold your faith and just honor him. Like give him the praise, give him the glory, like worship him where you are. Even when you make it, make sure you tell somebody, if it wasn't for Christ, if it wasn't for God that delivered you from where you was, if it wasn't for him allowing this opportunity, if it wasn't for him opening his door for you, make sure that you tell somebody it was God, because that person need to hear that, because that person might be going through something and they feel like that, they may feel like there's no out to where they are. They may feel like it's not possible, for a better change to come about. They may feel that way. They need to know it is God. It is our creator. It is Christ who died for us. It is him who is going to make way for us. So all we have to do is just cling to him, because he is our rock, because he is our provider, because he is our refuge, because he do provide us with shelter, because he's, the list go on and on and on and on. You can't stop. He's all that and then some. They need to hear that, because right now they don't have any help. And a lot of times we hit situations in our lives, God allowed things to happen in our lives where he's trying to show us, he's trying to get us to understand it is only him who is going to get us through. It is only him where this is possible. It is only him that can make it happen. All right. So I know trusting God isn't always easy. It's not always easy, but it's possible. And he makes it possible. Even when we don't understand, just trust him. Tell somebody, let them know, if it weren't for God, if it weren't for Christ, but God.